From shame to glory. 18-year-old black girl as dress transforms her life at a billionaire's ball. The echoes of laughter and the clinking of crystal glasses filled the grand ballroom, all while a hush fell when Amara stepped inside. With her heart pounding like a bass drum, she clutched her hand-me-down purse. Eyes turned. Whispers floated. Who was this girl in a striking red dress that seemed to shimmer with its own light? It wasn't just any dress. It was a brilliant cascade of silk and sequins that glinted extravagantly against the golden lights. This was more than fabric. It felt like a spell binding her to a world that looked so far beyond her reach. Amara was just 18, a girl from the neighborhood with a family on the brink of breaking apart. This was her secret escape, a chance to shed the shame of her past. She felt every heartbeat in her throat, the lump of doubt spiraling around her thoughts. But in that moment, she became something else, something grand. The attention was intoxicating. It wrapped around her like a warm embrace, thrilling and terrifying at once. This was a billionaire's ball, a place of glitz, where opulence ruled and dreams sneaked in through the cracks. As she made her way deeper into the crowd, the sound of hushed conversation swirled around her. "Look at her," murmured a woman in a diamond-encrusted gown, her voice dripping with surprise. "She is not supposed to be here." And that stung a sudden shout that pierced the bubble of excitement. Amara's stomach twisted, her hands trembled ever so slightly. But she held her chin higher, refusing to let the words sink in. She'd come too far to let anyone pull her back down. Yet amidst the glitz and glamour, something felt off. An air of tension crackled like static electricity. Guests with vacant smiles whispered urgently, glancing toward the grand staircase as if someone was about to emerge. It sent a chill skimming over her skin, sending her heart racing even faster. Why was it that every eye felt drawn to the top of those steps? There was a mystery hanging in the air, thick like fog, and Amara couldn't help but feel it swaying around her. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Her gaze shifted back to the staircase, heart thudding rapidly. The banter around her faded, and with it, the swirling chaos. There, appearing like a figure from a dream, stood a face she recognized from the newspapers, a wealthy tycoon with a reputation entwined in fortune and scandal. His presence felt electric. Did he see her? Was he really looking? Amara's breath caught in her throat, and she took a small step forward, compelled by a force she couldn't understand. With every glance shared among the crowd, expectations crackled in the air. She sensed a turning point, ripples of change, pulsating through the ballroom walls. This was not merely her night. It felt like an unsettled tide ready to unleash a storm. What did destiny have in store? Questions danced in her mind. Why was she pulled into the heart of this spectacle? And as the billionaire's gaze settled upon her, an unspoken challenge hung between them. Could this night shift from shame to glory, or would it simply highlight the stark contrast of their worlds? The atmosphere shifted dramatically when the tycoon finally descended the staircase, each step resonating with authority. His sharp suit and slick-back hair exuded power, but it was his eyes, piercing and bright, that held Amara captive. She felt a magnetic pull, as if the air was charged with unspoken words and hidden intentions. The hush grew heavier, thickening around her, creating a bubble where nothing existed but the two of them. As he reached the floor, he paused, scanning the crowd, and Amara's breath hitched again. She was acutely aware of the whispers surrounding her, speculative and curious. Who is she? Why is she here? The murmurs felt like daggers, but she stood firm, heart racing in determination. This moment could define her. Without warning, the billionaire strode toward her. The guests parted instinctively, expectations climbing like vines around a tree. Amara felt the weight of their scrutiny, every eye on her, and yet she held her ground, her dress shimmering around her like flames flickering against the dark. Each step he took echoed in her ears, and she fought the rising urge to retreat. What could he possibly want with her? May I have this dance? His voice sliced through the tension like a knife, smooth yet commanding. The request hung in the air, shocking her into silence. She hesitated, just for a heartbeat, her mind racing with thoughts. Did she belong in this space? Would she embarrass herself? The ballroom seemed to hold its breath. Amara caught a glimpse of the onlookers, their faces a mix of awe and disbelief. If she took his hand now, she'd be crossing an invisible line, a leap between worlds. It could change everything, or perhaps reinforce how out of place she truly was. Absolutely, she heard herself say, surprising even her own heart. She reached out, placing her hand in his, and felt a rush of warmth grip her. The room erupted in whispers, some applauding, others scoffing, but none could diminish the spark igniting within her. He led her to the center of the dance floor, where the spotlight fell around them like a gentle embrace. Amara's heart pounded. She joined the rhythm of the music, letting go of her doubts. They moved with fluidity. His grip was firm yet protective. She could feel the weight of his presence, that he stood as a mountain in a world that threatened to swallow her whole. But there was something in his eyes, a flicker of intrigue mixed with danger. It made her pulse quicken even more. Who was this man really? As if sensing her apprehension, he leaned in closer. "You're not like the others," he murmured, the heat of his breath grazing her ear. "You have fire in you." Her mind was a whirlwind. Did he know her struggles? Did he see beneath the polished surface of the dress the layers of fear and insecurity? Amara tried to maintain her composure, but the weight of his observation felt both thrilling and unsettling. Just then, the music shifted ominously, a stark contrast to the moments before. The lights dimmed, and shadows flickered ominously across the room. Amara caught sight of movement at the far end of the ballroom. A figure, tall and cloaked in dark, emerged from the shadows. The whispers morphed into gasps, and a sense of dread began to fill the air. "What is happening?" Amara whispered, her eyes drawn to the stranger. "Stay close," the billionaire urged, glancing at the intruder, tension rippling between them. Was this the storm that fate had promised her? Amara's heart raced as the figure advanced. She didn't know whether to run or stand her ground. Why had she come here? And with every heartbeat, the inevitable truth loomed. Nothing would ever be the same again. As the figure approached, the air thickened like fog rolling in from the sea, wrapping around Amara and the mysterious billionaire, dulling her senses. The whispers grew louder, a cacophony of uncertainty and fear. She wanted to glance back at the towering man beside her, to seek reassurance in his unwavering demeanor. But her gaze was trapped on the cloaked figure, who moved silently, a shadow weaving through the fabric of her reality. "Who is he?" Amara's voice was barely a breath, her throat tight with anxiety. "He has trouble," the billionaire replied, his tone low, almost gravelly. There was urgency in his eyes, warning lights flashing behind that calm facade. The thrumming bass of the music felt sluggish now, a distant heartbeat out of sync with the sudden chill sweeping across the ballroom like a winter storm. The cloaked figure's face was obscured, but Amara felt its gaze bore into her. It sent a shiver down her spine. This was no mere intruder, a sense of purpose clung to him, potent and malevolent. Suddenly, the lights flickered, casting chaotic shadows across the crowd. Gasps rippled through the assembled guests, faces turning pale as realization dawned upon them. The air thickened with panic. The billionaire stepped closer, his arm firm around her waist, pulling her to him protectively. Amara's heart raced, thundering against her ribcage. She could feel the tension, a taut line strung between dread and action. "Stay behind me," he ordered, his body shielding her from the looming threat. The urgency of his voice rattled her. This was a man who wasn't used to backing down. As the dark figure approached, Amara thought she could see the faint glimmer of a weapon glinting under the dimmed lights. Suddenly, her world contracted to just this moment. She had entered a realm where elegance collided dangerously with violence. Just then, the intruder stopped. The ballroom became deathly silent. All eyes were glued to the scene, breaths held. Amara could almost feel the collective heartbeat of the crowd echoing in her ears. What did he want? "I've come for what belongs to me," the figure finally spoke, a voice smooth but laced with sharpened edges. Each word dripped with a menace that sent waves of chill skimming over Amara's skin. "What do you mean?" The billionaire stepped forward, a low growl surfacing from his throat. His confidence remained steadfast, but Amara sensed an undercurrent of uncertainty, an unfamiliar vulnerability she hadn't expected. The dark figure pulled back his hood, revealing a face twisted with bitterness, hauntingly familiar. Amara's breath hitched, recognition jolting through her. Her heart sank like a stone. This wasn't just an unknown threat. This was a ghost from a forgotten past. "Do you really not remember me?" The intruder sneered, his eyes locked on her, as if they carried the weight of a history that could shatter this moment entirely. Panic licked at Amara's insides. Her world spun. She felt cornered, pieces of her past clawing their way back, threatening to unravel this unexpected new reality she had just begun to grasp. "Wait!" she called, her voice rising above the sudden tension. An impulsive move, but she couldn't help it. Memories swirled a jigsaw of emotions she thought she had buried. "Get down!" the billionaire shouted as he swept them both aside, the clash of metal ringing sharply in the air. A rush of adrenaline ignited inside Amara, and as she stumbled back on her heels, a single thought pierced through the chaos. She was unprepared, utterly unprepared for this revelation, this confrontation. And then the world went dark. Just before fading into oblivion, a new question burned in her mind. What truth was about to come to light? Amara's consciousness flickered like a dying bulb in the dark. She could hear the distant echoes of panic, muffled screams that felt unreal. As if she was floating, suspended between two worlds, her mind clamored to shake off the darkness wrapping around her like a shroud. Then a sudden jolt. Her eyes snapped open to a dimly lit room, disoriented. A cascade of satin and glittering jewels surrounded her. The lavish ballroom? No. This was somewhere else. Was she still alive? Panic surged anew, sending a wild heartbeat racing in her ears. "Amara?" A voice sliced through the fog. It was deep, soothing, yet soaked with tension. She turned her head, blinking rapidly. The familiar face of the billionaire came into focus, all worry etched into his sharp features. "Thank goodness," he murmured, kneeling by her side, his strong hand resting on her shoulder. "You're all right. I was afraid. What happened?" Her voice trembled, memories rushing back like a tidal wave. The dark figure, the weapon, the shattering recognition, his jaw tightened. "They caught us off guard. The attacker knew where to find you." "Why? What does he want from me?" Her heart raced again, thudding against her chest like a frantic prisoner seeking escape. "Your past. You have to understand." He paused, his eyes narrowing as if weighing how much to divulge. "This isn't just coincidence. That man he's connected to your family. You may have thought you left that life behind, but it's back, and it's angry." The walls seemed to close in. She pushed herself up on shaky arms, confused by the swirling fears. The past she thought she kept locked away had exploded into existence, dragging her into the eye of a storm she hadn't even seen coming. "What do you mean?" she demanded, a flicker of fight igniting. She was not about to go down without a struggle. "Listen to me," he continued, urgency thickening his tone. "There are things about your family's history that are dangerous. The man you saw, he wants something from you. Something that could destroy everything." Her mind raced. An image of the man loomed large. The twisted sneer, the bitterness, it was personal, the sort of bitterness that could seep years deep and turn to poison. "What could he possibly want from me?" Amara whispered, the words dragging like stones in her throat. "I don't fully know yet," he replied, glancing around the room as if searching for unseen threats. "But it's why I brought you here. We need to get to the bottom of this before he does." Before she could respond, the door swung open with a crash, and a figure barged in. It was a security guard, eyes wide with terror. "We need to evacuate. He's in the building." The billionaire's face hardened. "No. Not yet. We need answers." Amara felt her heart plummet into her stomach. Was the nightmare really just beginning? As fear thickened the air, she leaned closer to the billionaire, her breath quickening once more. "What do we do?" she asked, a tremor in her voice. He searched her eyes, and the intensity of his gaze sent sparks of resolve through her. "We fight back," he said firmly. Just as he stood, their moment of clarity shattered like fragile glass when a distant shout echoed from the hallway. "Amara! I know you're in there." The voice was cut with malice, flooding her veins with ice. Who else had stepped back into her life? With every heartbeat, questions swirled, drawing closer to a pivotal truth. What would she have to confront next? A cold wave of dread washed over Amara as the voice echoed through the corridor. It felt like a knife slicing through her fragile resolve. Who was this person that dared to entangle her in a net of her past? The billionaire cursed under his breath, looking back towards the door. "Stay low," he urged, his eyes darting, scanning for an escape route. The tension in the room thickened like a heavy fog. Without waiting for her response, he moved quickly to the far wall, pulling back a tapestry that revealed a hidden door. The soft click of metal against metal sent aching reverberations through her chest. "Now!" he insisted, beckoning her with urgency. Amara scrambled to her feet, adrenaline surging through her veins as she followed him. She hesitated at the doorway, glancing back just as the man's voice boomed again, closer this time. "Amara! You can't hide forever. I know what you are." A chill coursed through her. What did he mean? She had fought for years to reshape herself, burying her history beneath layers of hope and ambition. But what if it wasn't enough? The billionaire grabbed her hand, pulling her through the dark passage. The air grew cooler as they moved deeper into the corridor. It twisted and turned, leading them through a labyrinth of shadows. Each breath felt like a desperate gasp for air, her heart racing faster than her thoughts. "Where does this lead?" she gasped, whispering to the billionaire beside her. "To safety, I hope," he murmured, determination woven in his tone. "But we need to stall him. The longer we evade, the closer we get to understanding his true intentions." They crept faster, inching past closed doors and hidden alcoves. Amara's mind raged with questions. Who is he? Why now? "I don't know," he sighed, frustration evident in his voice. "But he is not just an enemy. He is tied to your family's legacy. We need to uncover the threads connecting him to your past." Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from behind them, rattling the walls of the narrow passage. The sound of heavy footsteps thundered closer. Panic clawed at Amara's insides. "What if he finds us? What if—" "Shush," he insisted, pulling her against the wall. "Let him pass." The footsteps grew louder, pounding like a war drum. Amara held her breath, every muscle in her body tense. The figure's shadow flickered against the dim light. He stopped, inches away from their hiding place. She could have sworn she felt his gaze pierce through the darkness. The seconds stretched endlessly. Her heart raced, each beat echoing like a warning bell in her ears. "Amara!" he called again, voice thick and laced with venom. "This is your last chance. You can't escape who you truly are?" For a moment, she froze, her mind wrestling with the implications of the words. Who was she really? The girl from the past? Or the woman fighting for a future? As the figure moved further away, they pressed on, the corridor finally leading them to a stairwell. "Quick, up!" the billionaire urged, moving confidently ahead. Amara climbed behind him, trying to drown out the chaotic thoughts swirling in her mind. Just as they reached the landing, an explosion of noise erupted below. A gunshot rang out, sending a shattering jolt through her. She stumbled back, barely catching herself against the wall. "What was that?" she gasped. He turned, eyes wide with urgency. "We're out of time. We need to move." But as they pushed against the stairwell door, a chilling realization formed in her gut. The confidence that had buoyed her before was waning. "Amara," the billionaire began, desperation tinting his voice. "You have to be ready for what lies ahead. Your past isn't just a shadow. It's a storm, and it's coming for you. Are you prepared to face it?" Before she could answer, another shout pierced the air from below. "I will find you. I will finish this." And just like that, she found herself standing at the edge of a precipice, the truth lurking below, ready to spit her into the abyss. What would she do next? The door groaned as the billionaire flung it open, plunging them into an expansive attic illuminated only by a flickering bulb. Dust motes danced in the sparse light, and the remnants of forgotten treasures lay scattered, a surreal backdrop to their frantic escape. They stumbled inside, panting, hearts hammering, the raucous chaos of the ground floor still echoing behind them. "Where do we go now?" Amara gasped, pulse racing as her eyes darted around the cluttered space. Shadows loomed in every corner, almost alive with the weight of memories. Old trunks, cobweb furniture, and stacks of yellowed newspapers spoke of an era long gone, but the only thing she could focus on was the threat racing toward them. He moved swiftly to a dusty window, peering through the glass, the determination etched into his features growing stronger. "We need to wait it out until we can find a way down. Maybe he'll lose interest." Amara's breath came in sharp bursts. "What if he doesn't? We can't just sit here." She rubbed her arms, feeling the chill that crept beyond just the temperature. "What does he want with me?" "I wish I knew," he replied, a hint of exasperation slipping through. "But I promise you we're going to find out." Just then, her eyes fell upon a torn photograph half buried beneath a stack of brittle letters. She crouched, curiosity piqued, fingers tracing the edges of the faded image. A young girl with a radiant smile stared back at her, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing in the distance. "Is this my mother?" She held it up, the pieces of her life forming a puzzle that had long been scattered. He leaned closer, squinting at the photo. "It looks like her, but you need to focus on surviving right now. We can't lose sight of that." His voice snapped her back to the present, but the knot in her stomach tightened. They were not just talking about survival anymore, they were talking about facing something much darker. What if he knows things about her, about me? In that moment, a heavy thud echoed from the stairwell below, followed by a calculated calm. Amara felt ice run through her veins. He was getting closer. "Do you hear that?" she whispered, a lump rising to her throat. He nodded, his hand grinding the glass frame of the window. "We have to act quick. If he finds us here, it's over." Suddenly, the door trembled violently as something slammed against it. The sound shook the attic, and Amara nearly screamed. They both spun around, hearts racing. "Did you lock it?" she hissed, mind racing. No, he muttered, eyes narrowing. He is stronger than he looks. We have to find another way now. Amara's thoughts spiraled. The attic was a maze of possibilities, but every shadow felt like a pursuer. Wait! What about that? She pointed to a heavy chest in the corner, its latch rusted but still intact. With adrenaline surging, they rushed to the trunk. Together, they pried it open, and a sharp smell of mothballs and age filled the air. Inside lay an assortment of clothes and old trinkets, but something glimmered in the back. Amara reached in, fingers brushing against a metallic object. Pulling it out, she revealed a small pistol, cold and unyielding. What is that doing here? The billionaire asked incredulously, eyes wide. Amara's hands trembled as she held it, her heart pounding. For the first time, a sense of empowerment flickered in her. Maybe it's protection. The door splintered, and a furious scream echoed from the hallway. Amara, you can't run from your fate. I'll make sure you pay. Panic surged, but a part of her wanted to claim her power. She turned to him, determination shifting her fear. Tell me why I shouldn't use it. He caught her gaze, a mix of concern and resolve in his eyes. Because we can find another way. We have to. But as the door gave way with a furious crash, and the figure loomed in the entrance, shadowy and towering, Amara knew the time for choices was slipping away. Would she stand and fight for her place in this twisted legacy? Or would she run from a destiny she didn't understand but feared all the same? Before she could decide, the figure stepped forward, and the attic held its breath, teetering on the brink of chaos. What happens now? The figure loomed, cloaked in darkness, eyes gleaming with an unsettling intensity that pierced through the dim light. Amara's heart thundered violently in her chest, the pistol feeling less like a source of hope and more like a dead weight. Amara, the billionaire's voice sliced through her cloud of fear. Get ready. If this is our only option, we need to use it wisely. Rage and despair intertwined in that moment. Why does he want me? She cried, her voice cracking like a fragile glass. The weight of uncertainty pressed down. Let us just find out, he said, his voice a low, steady murmur. He was trying to anchor her, but Amara could feel the horizon of her reality blurring, losing its boundaries, to an impending storm. The figure stepped closer, broad shoulders blocking the flickering light. It was almost comical to think that this was the man hunting her, yet here he was menacing and terrifying. She couldn't see his face, but the air crackled with his anticipation. Panic pushed her back against the chest, heart racing again, a surge of adrenaline coursing through her. You think you can hide forever? He taunted, voice smooth yet laced with malice. You belong to me. To us. Amara shifted her grip on the pistol, knuckles white. There was a truth buried in his words, a tether to her mother perhaps, but she couldn't let that bind her now. Get away from me, she shouted, her voice trembling with defiance. It was a feeble attempt, but it hung like a wildfire in the attic's air. Fate doesn't change, sweet girl, he responded, a twisted smile creeping into the corners of his mouth, barely visible in the shadows. You need to understand that. In that instant, the memories flooded back half-formed images of her mother, whispers of secrets that felt just out of reach. Amara closed her eyes, grasping for something tangible, but the reality of her situation crashed like waves against the shore of her mind. What did you do to her? Her voice faltered as fear clawed at her throat. His laughter rang out, cruel and echoing. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. But trust me. Your mother was part of a world you can't begin to comprehend, and you, my dear, will soon see it for yourself. The last word hung ominously, a dark promise that wrapped around her like sludge. With her heart pounding, Amara made a desperate choice. She raised the weapon, pointing it at the looming shadow, breath hitching in her throat. Step back. He paused, amusement dancing in his eyes. Do you think you can kill me? This isn't a movie. You have no idea what I'm capable of. A surge of courage coursed through her veins, but so did doubt. Would she really shoot? The thin lines separating bravery from recklessness began to blur. Then, with a swift motion, he lunged forward, a predatory glint in his eye. Now! The billionaire shouted, pushing Amara aside just as the darkness lunged. The attic exploded into chaos with splintering, dust flying, screams lost in the noise. Amara stumbled backwards, grappling for balance as the world spun. She lost sight of the figure and the billionaire, her focus wavering. Her heart raced in her ears, drowning out everything else. She could feel the cold tips of despair lacing into her thoughts. But fight or flight surged within her. As she caught a glimpse of movement, a shadow wrestled with the billionaire just beyond her line of sight. Amara gritted her teeth, fear churning into fury. No! She screamed, struggling to find her footing amidst the tossing shadows. In the whirlwind of adrenaline, she moved, gripping the pistol with renewed purpose. Whatever happens next would decide if she would stand and face the legacy she was born into, or be swallowed whole by it. With a steadying breath, she prepared to step into the fray, just as the clash intensified. Suddenly, the attic door burst open completely, swept off its hinges. Enough games. A new voice roared, echoing across the space. Amara's heart sank. Who was this? A new player in this twisted game. Clarity pierced through the chaos like a knife. She had no choice now but to confront the horrors. Lying beneath the surface horrors that wouldn't just let her go. What secret truths awaited her when the dust settled? And who would stand by her side when the final confrontation arrived? The noise was deafening, the chaos swirling like a storm in the cramped attic. The air was thick with dust, and the acrid tang of fear. Amara's eyes darted around, searching for anything a flicker of hope among the shadows. The billionaire's silhouette fought with ferocity, his movements quick and calculated, but she could see he was losing ground against the dark figure. Help him! A frantic voice screamed inside her head, but her feet felt glued to the floor. She instinctively aimed her pistol, but where was the focus? The shadows danced, making it impossible to tell allies from enemies. The new voice still echoed ominously through the doorway, stirring her gut into a roiling panic. Who are you? She shouted into the melee, voice cracking. But only silence answered her question, punctuated by the harsh sounds of struggle. The man in the shadows, with his glimmering eyes, turned slightly, recognition flickering across his face for just a moment. So, the little girl has a champion now? He taunted, his voice chillingly calm amid the disarray. He managed to drive the billionaire to the ground with a swift kick, leaving Amara breathless. A pity he wouldn't be around for long. No! Amara cried, fury igniting inside her. Not this time. She tightened her grip, raising the pistol higher as she stepped fully into the scene, adrenaline coursing through her veins like fire. Take it easy, sweet girl, the figure sneered, unfazed by her threat. You really think you can change your destiny with this? He pointed to her weapon, his grin wide, showing teeth like daggers. The billionaire, struggling to push himself off the floor, locked eyes with her. Amara, shoot! He gasped, desperation lacing his words. With her heart in her throat, she backed toward the edge of the melee, taking one hesitant step after another. The staggering realization that this was all connected the figure's chilling possessiveness, the haunting past of her mother, and now this unfolding chaos engulfed her. Summoning every ounce of courage within her, Amara shouted, I won't let you take anyone from me again. She forced herself to breathe, to focus on the shadow before her, the flicker of darkness that seemed to absorb light itself, and then she fired. The gunshot reverberated through the attic, cracking through the chaos like thunder. The bullet found its mark, hitting the man square in the shoulder. He howled in surprise, stumbling back, but barely faltered. The sight of it sent a jolt through Amara. Was he invincible? Foolish girl. He spat as he clutched the wound, his expression morphing from mockery to rage. The flickering light showed her a flash of his face, and it was more disturbed than she had ever imagined. You have no idea what you've just unleashed. Amara stood her ground, trembling, as shards of horror threatened to break her resolve. Who are you? She dared to ask again, desperate for an answer now. But before he could respond, the new voice from the doorway boomed again. Enough. It was a stocky figure, barrel-chested and glaring. Step aside, I'll handle him. The man in the shadows scoffed, eyes narrowing. Another pawn in this game? This isn't over. Without hesitating, the new player charged, tackling the figure, sending them both crashing to the floor. Amara watched as the battle resumed, the air thick with tension. Who was this intruder? Was he here to help or to further complicate the sinister play unfolding before her? The billionaire struggled to his feet, eyes locked on her. Amara! Focus! He yelled desperately. She turned back, heart racing. The shapes in the room twisted and shifted dangerously. I want to let them take you, Amara whispered, raising the gun again. She felt a swell of purpose take root amidst the fear. But then darkness enveloped the far side of the attic, and Amara felt it a presence, an implosion of energy. She gasped, the hairs on her neck standing on end, as the shadows deepened into a thick veil. A conviction gripped her that something far larger loomed, something that twisted her fate into an unseen web. What have I truly uncovered? She whispered, barely there, feeling the weight of her legacy crash against her like a tidal wave. The new player slammed into the figure from behind, giving her the split second she needed to take aim, but what she saw lurking in the shadows made her freeze. Was it just a figure stepping into the light or a threat she hadn't anticipated? As silence draped across the attic, her heart raced. This was getting darker, deeper than she had ever imagined. What awaited her now, as forces collided in this hidden world? The figure stepped into the dim light, and Amara's heart seized. It wasn't just a person, it was someone she recognized. Her breath caught in her throat. It was her mother, but not the warm, loving woman she remembered. This version looked different, hollow, almost ghostly, with a deep sadness etched into her features. Mom? Amara's voice wavered, confusion and dread flooding her. She wanted to rush toward her, to find solace in the familiar, but the chaos around them held her captive. The man in the shadows laughed harshly, the sound echoing like stone against glass. You didn't see that coming, did you? The deeper truths revealing themselves. It's only just beginning. He stepped back, using the wall for support, blood still dripping from his wound, yet he looked more menacing than ever. Leave her out of this, the billionaire shouted, driven by fear and anger. You've got issues with Amara that are your own. Amara's mother took a step forward, face twisted in pain. Amara, I didn't know this would happen. I didn't know you'd find me like this. Her voice cracked, but the intensity behind her eyes was alive, burning through Amara's doubt. The shadows moved like a sinuous serpent. Fear slid over Amara's skin like ice. What did you mean? Why didn't you tell me? Why does he know you? She was desperate to understand, her questions sharp and frantic, slicing into the suffocating darkness wrapped around them. I had to protect you from him. Her mother's gaze flickered to the man in the shadows, who was now grinning wider, teeth glinting with malice. He is a part of something more sinister than you can imagine. And now he is threatening to take everything from us again. Again? Amara echoed, the weight of her mother's words crashing over her like waves against a rocky shore. She felt the room spinning, truth blending with horror. What do you mean again? The man sneered, entwining his fingers like a puppet master. The past, dear girl, is a powerful influencer. Secrets buried long ago are rising, and they'll bring destruction as you unearth them. He motioned toward the chaos unfolding once more. Bodies collided, and shouts roared. The battle had reignited. Amara, please! You must listen. Her mother rushed forward, desperation clawing at her voice. If you pull the threads too quickly, you could unravel everything. This is not just a fight, it's a reckoning. The battle roared around them, and Amara felt the pressure build in her chest. She was torn between her mother and the danger that enveloped them. Then what do I do? She cried, her own voice lost amid the chaos. Trust your instincts. But know this, there are allies in unexpected places, and enemies cloaked as friends. Do not fall for their charms. Fight to protect what is dear. Just as her mother finished, sparks flared in the air, electrifying the atmosphere. The unknown intruder raised his hands, summoning shadows that danced toward Amara. The chilling energy gripped her heart again. Without thinking, she aimed her gun, pointing it firmly at him. No more games. Who are you? He tilted his head, amused. I'm the keeper of shadows, a harbinger of truths you're not ready to face. Amara felt anger boiling within her. I'm not afraid of you, of any of you. She shot back, her resolve hardening with the pulse of the chaos around her. She prepared to pull the trigger, but at the last moment, her mother stepped between them, risking everything. Amara, don't. Silence fell, heavy and thick. Everyone froze, uncertain. What was about to unravel? The darkness in the attic seemed to hold its breath, waiting for one spark to ignite the inferno. The silence felt thick, like a heavy blanket pressing down on them. Amara's heart raced as she absorbed the tension hanging in the air. The chaos of the fight seemed to fade into the background. Her focus was solely on her mother standing between her and the figure cloaked in shadows. Why? Amara's voice trembled. She couldn't wrap her mind around what was happening. Why are you protecting him? Her mother's gaze flickered with pain, the shadows casting an unflattering outline of her features. Amara, please, I'm here to protect you. There's a reason the past returned now, and trust me, it's not what you think. He wants you to embrace darkness, to control you. But there's more at stake than just this fight. The words hung between them, the room spinning as Amara wrestled with her emotions. Confusion, anger, love, it all churned inside her. The man in the shadows laughed, a chilling sound. You think you can protect her? You're just a ghost of the past, and Amara is destined to join me in the darkness. No! The billionaire's voice erupted through the silence, filled with an urgency that cut through Amara's internal storm. This isn't about joining him. This is about fighting back. Fight back? The shadowy figure sneered. You're outnumbered and outmatched. No, Amara asserted, stepping forward, a sudden surge of resolve igniting her spirit. I am not afraid of you, and I am definitely not afraid of my past anymore. The room was electric as she brandished the gun once more, the weight of her mother's truth fueling her determination. You keep saying the past is powerful, but I'm more than what I came from. I choose who I want to be. The billionaire nodded, his eyes fierce. This is your moment, Amara. Claim the power in your voice and your choices. You can change everything. With newfound clarity coursing through her veins, Amara aimed at the shadowy figure and felt the swell of courage envelop her. This is for me and those you've hurt. Just as she pulled the trigger, the attic erupted into chaos. The shot rang out loud, fearless and fierce, the bullet seeking its mark in the heart of darkness, both literal and metaphorical. The figure staggered, wide eyes filled with shock before seething rage took over. You shouldn't have done that. He howled, renewing his charge as shadows coiled around him like serpents. Amara felt the adrenaline pulse, her heart racing, but she didn't shatter. She stood firm. The layers of doubt she once wore crumbled away. "No more running," she said fiercely, determined to reclaim her narrative. In that moment, her mother stood tall beside her, the love that had always been there turning into a protective shield. "Together," she said, voice steady. "Together, we face them. You have always been strong enough." The shadows billowed, swirling in a tempest. The clash not only raged within the attic, but churned within Amara herself, a battle of fears and passion. "I have my own story, and it doesn't end with you," Amara declared, her voice crystalline in the whirlwind of chaos. Together, she and her mother locked eyes, uniting their strength in the face of the villain. "What has passed is prologue," Amara whispered, words igniting a flicker of hope deep within. "But I will not be defined by it." The billionaire surged forward, joining their side, standing defiantly against the threat. They formed a wall, ready to confront whatever came next. The figure in the shadows became agitated, seething at their unity. "You think your bond can change your fate? You're all fools." But Amara felt an unfamiliar comfort in her resolve, the truth sparking brightly. She lifted the pistol again, not to kill but to assert her choice. "Leave us alone," she said, her voice a declaration of independence. It was a fracture in the darkness, and they could sense the shift within the room as light fought against shadows. Each heartbeat echoed their determination, feeding into the fight that was ultimately about reclaiming herself. "There's no future for you here," she continued, the resolve brighter than before, cutting through the chaos. "I am my own, and I choose to rewrite my story." And just like that, the shadows recoiled, shrieking with fury as Amara stood tall, her past no longer a weight tying her down, but a bridge to her ultimate strength. With one last stand, the battle surged forward, not just for safety but for destiny. The figure's laughter faded into the echoes of the attic, leaving behind the potent truth of a girl who had finally stepped into her own light, no longer trapped by the weight of her past. With a final surge of energy, they moved together as a force. Amara, her mother, and the billionaire. They faced the darkness head-on, ready to weave their stories anew, together as one, daring to claim the brightness of a brilliant future. In the end, Amara's journey was a testament that from the ashes of struggle, strength could emerge and reshape a life forever, turning shame into a glorious legacy they could all be proud of. And together, they would rise. Now that we've reached the conclusion of this exhilarating journey, there is something critically important for you to do. You need to subscribe now, if you haven't already, or risk missing out on the next batch of incredible stories waiting just for you. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm, and get this thrilling tale seen by everyone. And don't you dare leave without flooding the comments section. I want to hear your reactions, your theories about all the twists and turns. Share your thoughts, because only true fans can appreciate the importance of your voice. Finally, without waiting even one more second, I need you to instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who are itching for a conclusion that hits hard and stays with you. Your support lifts up this community. Let us go and share the magic of stories that transform lives.